Okay.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. Well,
Don't you have
a step in the right direction.
a male voice?
What can I do?
Just kidding.
Okay, so we saw again. We're on page 9. Siman Aleph. We're going to be up to Hay today. So yesterday we saw a very important halacha. Told Lamai b'taknuim b'kavana. Told me'at taknuim. Excuse me. B'kavana meharbos below kavana. It's better to say less with kavana than more without kavana. Now again, this is talking about taknunim. Again, it's a whole separate issue about davening. Like. People ask me quite often about cutting down on Sukkah Zimra and all this. So it's a whole complicated thing. So we're not going to get into that anymore right now. But again, the concept is a very important concept. We talked about it yesterday about davening with kavana, doing anything with kavana, doing everything with kavana. And at the end yesterday, we talked about that famous Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah at the end of your base says this person has Sarach Adam Likvalo Ace Leomod Sifrei Musa B'chol Yom V'yom. Person has to set aside time, right? And that's what you have to do. You have to set a time to learn Musa every day, or else you won't do it, right? A couple of nights ago, we had a late meeting. It was very late. And I said, don't wake up at 5 o'clock, and wake up a little later. You still make it to chakras. Said if I don't do what I have to do in the morning, what I learn Musa in the morning, won't happen. Doesn't happen. So it doesn't make a difference. So hey, Tov Lomar. See now again, you have to be very careful in the language of the Machaber. We'll talk about this throughout. It's good to say Parshas Akeda, right? Parsha we have it in the Sidurim about Akedas Yitzchok, Parshas Haman, the Parsha about the coming down of the Man, also in our Sidurim. The Aseres HaDibros, right? Everybody knows what the 10 Commandments. It was always cool when I was driving from LA to Vegas. There's that I don't know where it is in the middle of nowhere. Right, the 10 Commandments off the street. The 10 Commandments. That's very cute. Anyways, I don't know what it's about, but the 10 Commandments are there. They've been there since I could remember.
At least the last 20 years.
At least, yeah. And somebody's keeping it up. They're maintaining it. So you should say that. Sarah said the verse. We'll talk about this. Parsha Ola, the parsha about bringing Ola, right? An Ola is completely brought on the mizbeach, everything except for the hide. Umincha, and the parsha about bringing a korban mincha, a shlamim, a peace offering, as they used to say. The chatas ve'asham. So it's good to say all those things. We're talking about in the morning, right? That's where again, don't lose track of sight of what we're talking about. We're talking about waking up in the morning, we wash our hands, right? All the things we do. So then this is one of the things a person should say in the morning, all these things. Now look what the Ramah says. The dafka b'yachid mutar lomar aseres hadibros b'chol yom. When we talk about saying the 10 Commandments, the aseres hadibros, that's talking about privately, not as a part of set davening of our communal davening every day. I will also next page. We're moving right along. Page 10. I will also lo amram b'tzibur. Very interesting Ramah. But the Ramah says you're not allowed to say the Aseres HaDibros. Now we're not talking about laning. We're talking about in davening context, in prayer context, right? You're not allowed to say it in as a tzibur, with a minyan or as part of davening. There's a set part of davening. Again, it seemed from the Machaber, you can misread the Machaber. It says it's good to say this. Then you'll say, okay, we'll say it, as part of davening. So the Ramah says, no, don't do that. You're not. He says it's asur to say it publicly. And you see, it's Chuvas Rashba. So, right, the question is why? Why? So, if you look at the Mishnah Berurah Test Zion, it's at least in mine, page 10, the first Mishnah Berurah. Page 10, the very first Mishnah Berurah, all the way on top in the Mishnah Berurahs. So the Chafetz Chaim says, why is it also to say Seres HaDibros publicly? So he says, Mipnei HaKofrim, because the heretics. What? So he explains, Shiomru Ein Torah Elazu. So they'll say, you know what, the only thing that there is Seres HaDibros. Now, yes, it is a true concept that everything, all everything in the Torah, all 615 mitzvahs are in the Aseret Adibros. We just don't know how to pull it out, right? So now the danger is the other way. That everyone will say, oh, there's just the 10 Commandments, right? You keep those and you're good, right? Yeah, but how about tzitzis? Okay, tzitzis is okay, but you have to find it. But again, it's how about carne? How about milk fleischiks? They're not allowed to eat milk and fleischiks there. Where is that in Aseret Adibros? I don't have to do that, right? Right. So again, that's the danger. And so the Mishnah Berurah goes on about that. And the Mishnah Berurah says that that it's best to say this privately outside of the dominant concept. But if you want to say the Aseret Hadibros, let's say in the middle of Shemon Esrei, privately, right? We're not talking about publicly, privately, because we said publicly you can't. Let's say I personally want to insert Aseret Hadibros into Shemon Esrei or something like that, right? So then I'm not allowed to do that. What you could do is say it separately. So you could see at the back of, at the end of davening, in the back of La'ad Sidurim, they have Aseret Hadibros. So you could say Aseret Hadibros then. And they have the Parsha of the Man also. Now it's very interesting. So they say, we also don't do Parshas Haman in a tzibur, publicly, right? In a part of our communal davening, right? So the Aruch HaShulchan says, very interesting. He says, why not? Why don't we say it again? Why are we saying that all these things you just say privately? Why don't we say Parshas Haman together? So the Aruch HaShulchan says very interesting. He says we don't do it. We don't say Parshas Haman in the middle of davening. Why? Because in Parshas Haman is a complaint of Klal Yisrael. They complain about Hashem, right? We don't have any food, right? Complaining. And they complained about the man itself also, right? They came in and said, the man's not good. So therefore, we don't want to bring up publicly in the tzibur that Klal Yisrael complained. Hashem, you can't give us food, right? You do know that some of the Bali Musar talk about, I think the Miktav Elio says this, what would have happened, all these complaints that Klal Yisrael had? We don't have water, then we don't have food. Right? So what would have happened? So there's two different explanations. Either Hashem would have given them food, but they should have just waited. It seems that way from Kapitel and Tillim. Just wait. Hashem will take care of you. Why are you complaining? Why are you bringing up, right? Wait. And if they would have waited, so then there wouldn't have been a problem. Believe it or not, I think the Miktav Elio says, I'm not sure, but I think the Miktav Elio says, what would have happened if they wouldn't have complained that we need food? They wouldn't have needed food. Oh. Water also. They complain about water first, right? Moshe hit the rock the second time, but the first time he hit it, it was legitimate. Hashem said, hit the rock, right? Hashem said, hit the rock. And he hit the rock and there was a lot of water, and that's where the water came from. Right. Let's say if they wouldn't have complained, so some say they wouldn't have needed water.
So it seems like it's obviously all of Hazeh, which is not Adam Harishon and that. Right,
they were
on the similar concept of states like that.
They could have been on the level of Adam Harishon before the Chayt. After, no, actually, some bring a proof to this. You know why? The Torah says that their clothes. I had to ask Zach, where did I get my clothes cleaned here? Right, dry clean. I recommend a dry cleaner. So right, but why do these people have a job? Because our clothes get dirty, right? So you have to, why? We had to get a washing machine here and why? Because the clothes get dirty. But the Torah says in the midbar, didn't happen. Right? The clothes grew; they were always fresh and everything. Right? How about shoes? Right? I have a very unusual shoe. So I have a very, very, very narrow foot. I can only get shoes in a certain place. And then, so if my shoe is good, so what I had to take it to a shoemaker and get it resoled and refit, right? Because I have a hard time getting shoes. Why do I have that? In the midbar, they didn't have that, right? Right? No problem with their feet, no problem, right? They had to walk through no problem. Why? So some say they never complained about that. So what happened? Everything good. Clothes are good, shoes are good, feet are good. So if they wouldn't have, some bring that as a proof that if they wouldn't have complained, wouldn't need food, you wouldn't need water, you'd be good. Right?
Tell my wife that.
I wish today that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about portion control and all that, leave that aside. But anyway, so the Aruch HaShulchan, again, back to the idea, says we don't say Parshas Haman with everybody. Why? Because we complained. Shouldn't have complained.
Why did he give us the Ten Commandments then if it's going to be such a potential issue of, could be a big court?
Misunderstood?
Yeah.
I don't know. You see in America today, right? They're trying to bring back the Ten Commandments in the schools.
In schools, yes.
In Texas, I think they have it, right? Or again, on the 15, yeah. 15, right? 15.
No, that's great. That's a great one.
What? Which one? I have a lot of good great ones. Huh?
15, I meant 10.
The cheaper by the dozen, or I think so tomorrow we'll get back into this thing about Aseres HaDibros, and we'll talk about a tshuva Ramosha, right? That's why you come on Mishnah Berurah, but tshuva Ramosha, about this idea that we're worried about kofrim, about heretics saying, oh, it's just Aseres HaDibros, there's nothing else. That's the main thing, like on the freeway, right? There's nothing else. So we'll see how that comes into play in a couple of weeks, believe it or not. And laning in a few weeks, so we'll see about that.
Right.
And Ramosha, how about when we lane Aseres HaDibros? So we'll talk about that. We'll see. Ramosha has a very interesting tshuva, but we'll do that tomorrow. Okay, shkoach everyone. Shkoach everyone. Everyone.